Hello, everyone. How's it going? Long time no see. I saw you like last GHW. Okay. Hey. How's everyone doing today? I think this is like the day one of GHW, if I'm not wrong. And yeah, hope you're enjoying it so far. And yeah, welcome everyone who's joining Global Hack Week for the first time. Welcome everyone else who has been here before and has enjoyed it, right? So, yeah, isn't it exciting right now, Career Week? This is like something that is kind of close to my heart in a way. Why? Because this is where we all started, right? We all started when someone advised us that, what's the next big thing? A career in computer science slash IT, and we started our coding journey. We found great mentors, we learned from a whole bunch of people, and now we want to expand it further. And today I am here to help you expand it in the world of mobile app development. And yep, we'll go around it. We'll talk in great detail about what are we going to do, how are we going to get started, what are we going to use. Even though you might have seen my Discord announcement that we are going to use React Native and Expo, but we'll still go in some theoretical details of what we are going to do, what is it going to be about, how are the sessions divided, what are we going to build, and all those things. But before that, I'll wait for maybe a minute, let people join. Where and let me just kind of set up some background right there. Yeah, I think this is good. Okay, it is really cold here. I am freezing right now, and my heating is off. For some reason, it's not working, so I have to check that after the session. But, anyways, Uh, those who are here for the first time and who don't know me, my name is Utkarsh, but I prefer to go by UT because that's what everyone knows me. Like in Major League Hacking, that's how everyone knows me slash calls me in my office. Uh, I think nearly everyone calls me that. All my friends call me UT. So here I am. I am UT and I'm from Major League Hacking. And I'm a coach at Major League Hacking, so you'll find me during some hackathons, digital hackathons, physical hackathons out there helping you all, uh, just make the most of it, making like doing fun. But I also stream during nearly every GHW. Uh, and this time I am here to help you learn mobile app development, as I said. Okay. I think we have waited for quite some time. So we can kind of start now. But before we do that, I would request you all to please register. The link is in the chat right now. Okay. Please do register for the session. Helps me, helps you, helps MLH keep track of who's joining, who's not, and everything. Right. So yeah, please do register for the session and then we will move ahead from there. Let me just reduce the volume a bit. Okay, so we have background music, just too much in the background. Okay, so what I'm going to build is, everyone knows about the GHW website. It is kind of open on my, like, open right here. Okay, so I am going to convert this website into a mobile app, but we'll do it from scratch and we'll not do the whole thing. Okay, we'll pick up bits and pieces of it and build it from there. So that's the first thing. So what are we going to build? We are going to actually divide this session into 4 parts. Okay, and I say 4 parts because this is not the only app we are going to build. We are, whatever we do today in the first session and probably one more session tomorrow, we will basically get to know and understand bits and pieces of adding just text, dumping some images, creating components, and yeah, I think majorly those are the things that we'll learn. Links, okay, linking out. So in websites, when we build from website perspective, it is very easy to link. Okay, we use the a tag, href, and it opens a new tab even. But in mobile, you'll have to do slightly different things, even though you end up opening it in a separate app. Secondly, alerts, modules. Okay, these are things that we do not really use in web dev. We kind of try to avoid modules if we can. But in mobile, every action, every interaction would lead to asking a user, do you want this? Do you want that? Or something like that. Notifications. So there's so bunch of things. So I've divided this sessions into kind of building two apps. The first app is what we are going to start today, and that would be very basic, very simple, just so that you get a hang of how React Native works, how Expo works, how to set up your workspace, what you need to install, all those things. Then I have two sessions tomorrow where we will kind of continue adding one or two more things if we don't end up adding them today. And then we'll start building the second app. The second app is going to be a bit more interactive. Why? Because I am going to help you build a reminders app. Everyone has a reminders app, right? Calendar notification slash reminders. So when we build the reminders app, we will add some user inputs there. We will add some haptic feedback, so your phone needs to will vibrate when you do some certain actions. Then we'll add some notifications. We'll schedule notifications and show that. So yeah, that is something that we will see. And uh, yeah, I think those would, like, these two apps that we build would be good enough to give you a starting point into the world of app development. Okay, let me look into the chats. 404 is alive. Hey, 404. And to-do list. I know, right? Sounds like a to-do list, but I'll try and make it less to-do list and more of adding, interacting it with it more. Let's see if we get to the point where we can upload images to our to-do list slash reminders. I'll call it reminders. Okay, helps my ego. So yeah, in our reminders app, I'll see if we reach to the point where we can upload images. But if we don't, that's okay. Uh, we'll definitely add single line of text, details of text. I'll try and show you how to add calendars. So at least slightly more than to-do list, let's say. Okay, so reminders, we'll call it reminders. Okay, anyways, so before we dive directly into coding without having any knowledge of what we are going to do or what React Native is, let's go over some theory of it. Okay, a very basic theory of it. And I am not very well versed in mobile app development. I actually started it last month, interestingly, and I found that it was pretty easy. If you have done React before, most of the concepts are kind of transferable from React world to React Native. And so it did not take me much time. Like, it took me like around, let's say, 2 weeks to kind of get a basic hang of, okay, this is what you do in React Native. And everything else was a Google search, right? So, and I thought that, wait, if this is so easy, I can definitely help others reach to this stage, to this platform faster than it took me. Okay. So that is why I am doing these mobile app development sessions. Secondly, I said that if you have a hang of React, it's easy to go into React Native. But for this session, at least for today's session, you don't really need to have knowledge, deep knowledge of React. Okay. I will explain the things that we are doing as we go along. So if you have idea of JavaScript, I think that would be enough to get started at least today. Tomorrow it might get a bit more involved, and having some knowledge of how React does things would be nicer. But fear not, I'll tell you the terms, and then you can Google that in your own time. So I think that's the best way to learn, right? Just mess around and find out. Okay, so React Native. Uh, Simply said, it is, as they say, learn once, write anywhere kind of library that it gives you. Okay. So when you build for web, what you do is you end up with something like a website, which you open on your favorite web browser. And with web, things have certainly become a lot easier when we got React. Okay. It gave you these declarative views where, every view is a function, okay, a function of a state. And what this means is that based on the data that you're writing, based on the change in data, it would show you a view. Okay, a view will be visible, something will be visible on screen to you, and that is like really nice. But then the React team, or let's say the React Native team, came in and they were like, wait, can we do this exactly for mobile? That you take whatever you learned in React, you transfer that learning, like build a web page, but then add some magic behind it to convert it to a mobile app. Okay, for Android, iOS. I'm pretty sure it's not available for Windows OS. Uh, if anyone remembers Lumia, was it? I'm not sure. But yeah, for Android and iOS. So that's what React Native is. You write things from the perspective of building for web, but y- React Native will tell you to slightly adjust a few things here and there, and boom, you have a React Native app built, which is transferable to be used in iOS and Android. Now, React Native is not the only mobile framework that we have. There is also Ionic. Okay, so if you have not heard of it, I can Ionic React. Hmm. So there's this Ionic platform as well, which is kind of similar to what React Native does. It is one code base, any platform, just React, and you can build it for Android, iOS, web. Okay, they give you tons and tons of components, and you can use the components to kind of build the UI. So example, let's say date and time picker. Okay, they give you this, and which thing am I on? Yeah, there we go. And date and time picker, it gives you this very nice, very sleek iOS related date time picker, but you can switch over to Android, and then it gives you the behavior of Android. Okay, so once you actually use it on your phone, it would be more native. Okay, you will feel that, oh, I think this is a pure iOS app. The buttons have that exact feeling. uh, the calendars, the date pickers, everything has, like, look at this button. This is more iOS. Definitely, we have you when you have used it. You know that, oh yeah, iOS has this rounded buttons concept, but you want to go for, let's say, Android. Okay, you get an idea that, oh yeah, that is more like, sharp edges, slightly less padding between them. Like, you get an idea of what I'm talking about when once you see an app open in iOS versus open in Android. And Wouldn't it's always nice if you write it once and you can use it multiple times. Okay, that's what coding is all about, right? You write it once, use it multiple times. So now instead of using Ionic, I am going to use React Native because I found that to be more interesting. Okay, and also because I was like, from React to React Native, the journey is quite simple, quite easy. And now you have two ways of writing React Native. You can write raw React Native, the way you can do like raw React. You need a development server for which you set up Vite, okay, for as a development server. But then you also have frameworks for web, right? You have Remix, you have Next.js. Uh, at least these are the two that come to my mind currently. So similarly, you also have a framework for React Native, and that is Expo. Now, what's the difference? Okay, what are wait? I think there are a lot of questions in the chat. Let me quickly go through, and then I'll come back. So, what if you're a complete beginner to JavaScript and React? It should not be a very big problem to answer this question. It's not going to be a very big problem. All it is going to be is that you might have slightly lesser understanding of okay what I'm doing, but I'll try and explain the best from my end. Uh, Suggestions related to what? Okay. So yeah, with I think JavaScript is comparatively a very easy thing to learn. So we should be able to learn it on the fly right now. Okay, coming back. So Expo is a framework for React Native. Okay. And what it gives us is that it gives us everything that React Native gives us, plus some extra. Example, uh, with React Native, you won't have navigation. You'll have to install a library. Now with Expo, you still have to install a library, but it's Expo router to route between the pages. Okay, and I say pages even though it is not exactly pages, but we'll come to the terminology later. So Expo gives you kind of this whole structure. The second problem with directly using React Native is that you need to have, uh, like let's say you are on Windows, then you need to install Android Studio. You are on Mac, you can install Android Studio, and you can install Xcode. Once you have installed these two things, then you need to install simulators, and once you have installed that, uh, you might need to install some additional things like cocoa pods. Okay, and it just like keeps on adding to get started. Now with regards to using Expo gives us something called as Expo Go, which is kind of a sandbox environment. Okay, and that actually helps us in a way that everyone carries a phone. Once you install the Expo Go application on your phone, whatever you are writing, you can just scan a QR code and it would be visible on your phone live. Okay, so you can kind of develop the mobile app looking at what it looks like on your phone on the go. Okay, so I'm going to show it to you, like which app to install. Like it's actually called Expo, but yeah, you'll install that. We'll scan the QR code. You'll get, some like you will get the app opening. You can see the app that you're building live on your phone. Okay, so I think that gives us a very nice environment without having to go through installation of 10 different things. Okay, we always want to get started quickly. So if you remember from my past streams, I always prefer using, let's say, Replit over creating your own development environment. but now they have like restricted it to 3 ripples only. And also for whatever we are building today, we cannot use Replit. We'll have to do it locally. But I'm always in for getting started quickly rather than faffing around with installation of ton of things. Okay, so that is why the other reason why we are going to go with Expo today is so that we can get started quickly. Okay, any questions? Is Expo like a front end deployment service like hosting service like Vercel? Nope, Expo is definitely not that. uh, Expo, as I said, it's more of a React Native framework to allow building apps, okay, for using React Native, but in their own environment, okay, in their way of writing React Native and using their libraries for doing that. And interestingly, I was going to talk about this tomorrow, but I think I can talk about it today. Uh, with web, it's very easy to host it, make it live for everyone. But with mobile, that is just impossible. Okay. You cannot host a mobile app, right? You need to give it in Android as the APK file, in iOS as a DMG file, I think it's called. But you need to kind of bundle all your code that you're writing, create a format which is understandable by the mobile app, like by the mobile operating system, and then it will be able to open your app. So it's not as easy as hosting. And actually, if you see the Expo documentation, uh, they talk about how to, how can you put your app out there. So for Google Play Store, it is kind of simple, kind of easy. You need to create a Google Play Store account, pay them a fee of like I think $25 for lifetime. Or if you want to build an iOS application, you have to have a developer account, Apple developer account, and you pay them like $99 or $199, one of those things, every year. So yeah, it's costly. App development is costly, but it's still fun. Okay. uh, we can always have something called as a test flight version of our apps, which basically says that my app is not going to be on App Store. Wait, what is this flickering? Weird. Yeah, so my app is not going to be on App Store. It is more in development, and you can share the development build with everyone to install on their mobile phones. Uh, Comes with its own quirks, comes with its own problems, but we can talk more about it in our last session. Okay, so enough of me rambling about React Native and Expo. We are going to frequently visit the documentation. So I am going to share the link with you all in the chat. There's the React Native one. Let me highlight it quickly. And there's the Expo one. Okay. Actually, I can make it even simple. Reactnative.dev. Okay. A smaller link to remember /open. So reactnative.dev, expo.dev, and that takes us to where we want to go. So we'll refer this documentation multiple times during our journey of building the app. But for now, let's start building. Okay. Now, some prerequisites. And if you don't have it, that's okay. You don't have to build it right now. You can watch the session and it will be available on YouTube later. So you can then follow along again. Okay. And since this is going to be a 2 hour session, more like 1.5 hour remaining now. So we'll have like less amount of code. So you don't have to worry too much. Now, what you need to have installed. So number one, you need to have VS Code installed, definitely. So that would be the text editor that we are going to use. Secondly, we need to have Node.js installed again compulsorily, because React Native, React, Node.js, okay, go hand in hand. We need to install JavaScript libraries to do stuff, right? So need to have that installed. And I am not 100% sure if you need Xcode, but for the time being, let's assume that you don't need Xcode. Thirdly, we need to install an application called as Expo, okay, so that we can actually see the Expo uh, application that we are building live on our phone. Now, I have two devices. My Android phone is too old. Let's just say uh, it's too old. So I won't be actually able to use my Android phone to show you what the app looks like. Uh, but the app that you need to install is called, okay, it's called Expo, okay, by Expo project. Let me also check it on App Store, what it's called. It's called Expo Go on App Store. Interesting. So Expo Go on Android App Store and iOS App Store. Okay. Please install this app depending on what device, what phone device you carry. Please install this app, and yeah, we'll use this app to actually view whatever we are building, whatever we are coding live. Meanwhile, let me start my VS Code, right? Like the music right now. Okay, there we go. That should be good. Okay, so I just opened my terminal and we'll take it from there. Is there a specific version of Node that we need? Good question. We are going to use Node 20. Okay, so let me go on Node 20. So this is the version of Node that I have, 20.17.0. And yep, oops, this was the question I was highlighting. And hi, everyone who's joining right now. And is it Expo by Expo project? Yes. Expo by Expo project on Android. Interestingly, it's called Expo Go on iOS. Okay. So Expo by Expo project on Android App Store and Expo Go by on iOS App Store. Is it okay if we have a later version of Node? Yes, it's fine. We should not have anything less than 20, because I'm sure that it works on 20. If you work with Node 18 or something and it causes a problem, I won't be able to help. But I'm pretty sure anything like 20 and above should work fine. Okay. So actually, I'm going to do CD inside code work where all my code repositories are normally stored. Now I'm on Node 20. So Node version is 20 and npm version is 10.8.2. Okay, I cannot make this bigger than, should not actually, more like make it bigger than this. Okay, so how do we create a new Expo project? Let's start directly, let's get into it. how do you create a new Expo project? So if you remember, so folks who are coming from React world, who have used Vite or even create React app, even Next.js, I think, you have this create command, right? You have this create next app or create React app, create Vite latest, or something like that. So there's so many things. So thankfully, even with Expo, you have something very similar. And what I am going to do is I am going to create one here. So npx create Expo app, and then you have to give the name of the app. So in my case, I'm going to call it mlh-ghw-profile app. That's a very long name. You should not have this long name. So I'm going to call it mlh profile app. Okay, or mlh-ghw app. Let's go with that. So mlh-ghw app, and then uh, similar to all the other platforms where you have a templates where you have some pre-written code already, we have some templates available even in Expo. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to do dash dash template, and that should give you a list of all the templates. So what is this command going to do? We are using npx, which is like npm, but you don't have to install it, right? If you have Node.js installed at least version 20, you have npm at least version 9 point something or 10, at least npm 10. You have npx pre-installed on your system, and we are using npx, and then we are doing create Expo app, which is a command to create a new Expo app. And you could actually do that if you like, you can find it when you do this, go into their documentation. So they're saying npx create Expo app at the rate latest. Now this at the rate latest is missing from my command, because when you install it for the first time and it is not installed, Expo create Expo app is a library, and that is not installed on your system. It will give you a prompt asking, do you want to install this? And you will say yes, and that will automatically install the latest version. This next part is the app name. So I have given it mlh-ghw app, and then you have the dash dash template to show you the template. So I am going to copy this whole command and paste it in the chat. Okay. And let's take it from there. Now I'm going to hit enter. I have create Expo app, this library. Create Expo app is a library, and that is already installed on my system because, well, I was preparing for this session. So that is why it did not ask me to install it again. It might ask you all if you have never worked with Expo before. And the templates. So there's a default, there's a blank TypeScript, there's navigation TypeScript, and blank bear. We are going to go with blank TypeScript. Now, I would prefer to use TypeScript on this project. You can use JavaScript definitely, but TypeScript is like JavaScript, but on steroids. Okay, so it gives you this type safety. Now, people who have never worked with JavaScript, okay, this is for you all, uh, and others who have, please ignore me for a bit. So with other programming languages, like notably Java or C or C sharp, C++, you define the data type. So you define like if this is an integer or if this is a string. But with JavaScript, you don't have to define, or even with Python, actually, you don't have to define the type of value. Okay. You say that, okay, I have this variable called as variable a, and that is equal to 2. And in this case, JavaScript, or even if you're working with Python, they will automatically try to understand what is the type of this variable. So in this case, when variable a is equal to number 2, then it would be like, oh, it's an integer. Okay, it's a number kind of. If it is hello GHW in double quotes or single quotes, it will automatically understand, oh, this is a string. Now this is nice. It helps the, like, you don't have to learn too much about data structures initially. It's a quick learning, quick understanding, quick start. Okay. The problem comes when you have something complex. Okay. And then JavaScript will not throw an error when you're writing the code, but it will fail when you're running the code. And that is why we got TypeScript. And TypeScript was like, you can write JavaScript, but you can also define the type of the variable. So now, instead of writing variable a equals to 2, you write variable a, which is of type number, equals to 2. So now you have defined the type of the variable. And some people find it annoying. They're like, well, JavaScript was not supposed to have types. But people like me, we are in extremely awe of TypeScript because it helps you have that type safety in your code, so that it's not like always one person working on the entire code base, right? If you work with open source projects, like if you remember from open source week, we built a we built color palette generator color conjure, which was an open source project part of Hacktoberfest, and I think around 7 or 8 people contributed to building of the project. I realized that, at one point, that this needs to be a TypeScript project, because when more people contribute, they're not sure what the type of some variables are that are being used. So that is why having TypeScript helps eliminate that problem. Okay. Anyone who's going to contribute, they know, oh, this variable is going to be of this particular type. So they'll write the code accordingly. So yeah, enough about TypeScript. Uh, so blank TypeScript. So I'm using arrow keys to move between the options, and I'm going to hit enter on blank TypeScript, and that should start installing. Now going back to some questions. Uh, so if you have Node installed, then it should be available on your system by default. So if you're on Windows, open command prompt, no, terminal, CMD basically. Okay. Open the CMD and just do a node dash V. Okay. And an npm dash V. So if you get a output from that, which is not an error, then that means that you have node available. And then from that CMD, you can basically run the command that I had given earlier. So run this first on your CMD if you're on Windows. And if it gives an output, which is like some numbers here, then it means node and npm is available. And then you can run the next command that I gave, which was this create expo app. Okay. So to me, it looks like I have successfully installed everything. Your project is ready. So this is the prompt that I'm definitely waiting for. Your project is ready. There are some things on the top, but we'll talk about them probably later, or maybe not. You don't have to kind of focus on it yet. Uh, okay. The next step, it says, is cd into the mlh GHW app directory that we had created. I can run Android, iOS, or web. So I'm going to do cd into mlh dash GHW dash app. Okay. And now I am going to open this in VS Code. And if you have VS Code installed uh, as a root user on Windows, or globally installed, kind of available to everyone, and you have set up a shortcut, you could do code space dot to open a new VS Code instance on that folder. Yes, I trust the authors. Of course, I trust the authors. I am the author, right? And there we go. We have successfully reached our VS Code, which is where we are going to write the code. Okay. So what do we have right now? There's this assets folder, which has some images, which you can quickly take a look at. Okay. Then we have node modules folder, which is like all your library. That's where all your libraries are stored, right? You have a git ignore folder, because this is we are going to use Git for development. We are going to use Git for version control. Yeah, we have a app.json where there is this expo and there's a name, there's a slug, there's a version, and it refers to the assets icon.png. So does something. It has some Android foreground image, sorry, background color, splash screen, web, something for web as well. Okay. Then we have app.ts6. Okay, this is kind of the entry point to our application. We have Babel config, and this is what is like, simply to understand, this is what is going to be used to kind of bundle your application from a web perspective. So JavaScript bundling, like React bundling. Okay, you write JavaScript, it needs to be converted into HTML, CSS, all those things. In this case, you will need to convert it to having an Android and iOS, right? So yeah, that's what's happening here. Then we have package JSON, where all the dependencies, or you can say the libraries, are noted down. We have dependencies, we have dev dependencies. Excuse me, sorry. Uh, yeah, we have dependencies, we have dev dependencies, and yeah. Then we have tsconfig.json. Now this is the configuration for our TypeScript. Okay. There's also this package lock, which gets created when you install all the libraries from your package JSON. Now, before we get into anything, okay, I hope you all installed the Expo app. Okay, the from App Store slash Play Store. Yeah, Android Play Store. Why was I calling it Android App Store? Sorry. So hopefully you all have installed the application. Now we will run the application as it is after fresh install without making any changes. So we can do npx expo start, okay, and hit enter. And then it starts something. It says using this Metro bundler, and also gives us this warning. And after a few seconds, it actually fails. It stops working. Now, this was a problem that I had initially faced, and it took me uh, a lot of time actually to find a fix to this. So we'll fix this, but before that, there is a question. There are too many apps called Expo. Which one to go for? Ah, do they not have it here? Expo Go. I can kind of share a link. Expo Go. Yep, found it. This is what it looks like. Okay, so I can actually share this with you all. Yep, there we go. For oh, someone has already shared that. Okay, thank you so much. Uh, so there we go for uh, Android. For iOS, let me quickly search that as well. There we go for iOS. So folks who are working with iOS, there you go. You need to install this one. So Play Store again, and App Store. Okay, and Yes, I know, right? It's like, wait, I installed Expo. Why am I seeing Expo go? Uh, okay. Also, let me go away from screen so you can focus solely on that and not on my hand gestures, which I keep throwing around here and there. Uh, okay. Yeah, going back. So the first thing, okay, hopefully you all have installed. I know someone said that their installation failed, so they're going to try again. Yes, please do. The command is in the chat right above. We chose the blank TypeScript template. Okay, blank TypeScript template. So once you have done that, then you need to do npx expo start. This is what starts the project. Okay, so I'm going to paste that command in the chat again, of maybe for the first time. Once you do that, it says starting metro bundler. So this is the bundler. So like if you're coming again from a web side, then we use like Vite for bundling our application, which internally uses esbuild and rollup. Uh, Here we had a definition for Babel, and in Expo's case, it's called Metro Bundler. Okay, that bundles our application so that it is usable for iOS or Android. So as you can see, it says open Android, open iOS, and after all that, it still fails. So they were like, I had to do a multiple of things to make this work, but I found the easiest way is to just do npm install again. Okay, so if you get this error, which is, if you get this particular error, okay, and this is a hack, so not a hack, like this is the only way it works, kind of. So if you get a error which is the one that you see on your screen, then you need to do npm install again. Okay, npm install, and hopefully everyone here is on npm. So once you do that, now we can do npx expo start again. It should look exactly the same, but we'll wait for a couple of seconds. Hopefully it does not crash, and it hasn't. Now, from your Android device, so folks who are using Android, this instruction is for you. Open the Expo Go app, and inside there you will have a camera icon. Use that camera icon to scan the QR code. Okay, once you scan the QR code, it should kind of open the application on your phone. Okay, open the application on your phone. Now, folks who are using iOS device, unfortunately, the camera app is not inside Expogo. So what you need to do is use your camera app, your normal camera app, because we know that iOS camera app can actually scan uh, this can actually scan a QR code, right? So use the iOS camera application and scan this QR code, and that should open, that should give you a prompt, open in Expo Go. Click on that, and that should open the application. And for people who are saying that mine just crashes on my phone, uh, yes, it might happen. So what you need to do is minimize it. So let me actually try and come back on the screen. Yeah, it should be visible on the screen. And now for this thing, come on, do I need to switch off background? Okay, that's the wrong one. Hmm, I am actually not sure. Where can I switch this from? So all I can do is try to show it to you, and it would be like kind of breaking with my virtual background on. Uh, Come on. Yeah. Okay. So if your app is crashing on your iPhone, then you need to do two things. Number one, uninstall it and reinstall Expo. Sometimes that fixes the problem, because you need to give it some permissions. Okay. It should give you a prompt for, uh, Expo would like to connect to your local area networks or something like that. Secondly, yes, actually, rightly pointed out that you need to be on the same Wi-Fi. Okay, you need to be on the same network. So ensure that your phone and your laptop are connected to the same network. And thirdly, if that is not possible, then you can use something called as NG-ROC and to tunnel, uh, but we'll not get into it. For now, hopefully you're connected to the same Wi-Fi network. You can also give hotspot from your phone to your laptop and then connect. So then you're automatically on the same network. Uh, then on There's one question: are these videos recorded and posted somewhere? Yes, they are going to be on YouTube forever. So you can always find me on YouTube. Uh, Let me share the link to the Major League Hacking YouTube channel. There's one that is currently live, which is mine, right? And then there is this other thing on my phone. It says open up app.js to start working on your app. Congratulations, you have actually reached where I wanted you to reach. That is what it says in our code. Okay, so this is the exact line that you're seeing, and if you're seeing this, then congratulations, you have reached there. Okay. And okay, so someone saying it should be TSX. I think maybe they tried to have a JS one installed instead of using a blank TypeScript template, or maybe it is TSX. Okay, but in general, if you see something similar, then that means you have reached where I wanted you to reach. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. I am so happy that you all reached here. Okay. So, folks who have reached to this point where on your Expo Go application, when you open your application using Expo Go, it says open app.js or app.tsx to start working on your app. That means you have successfully installed everything. Okay. And it works. Okay. Uh, for NGRock, I think should be simple. I think you need to first install it. So you need to do npm install dash g, not local tunnel. That didn't work. I think ngrok. Some people call it ngrok. Uh, so depends on how you pronounce it. Excuse me. Uh, yeah, I think this is what you need to do. npm install dash g n g rock ngrok. It enters. So this globally installs ngrok on your system, on your Windows slash Mac slash Ubuntu, whatever you're using. Uh, Hopefully, one of the Windows or Mac. And then you need to kind of start it. And for that, I think, let me quickly. Hmm, I think you need to do. npx, no, npm, I think, npm start dash dash tunnel. Or maybe npm start dash dash, I'm confused here. uh Try and let me know. So npm start should do run this script, and expo start, I think, dash 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 dash, no, I think it's dash dash tunnel. Try it, but probably one of these. So this is for folks who cannot be on the same network, or if it's erroring even on the same network or something, then you need to install ngrok, and then do a tunnel. So I'm not sure about the command. I think it could be this one. So npm start dash dash tunnel, and actually let me test it. I can simply go off my Wi-Fi, be on my mobile network, and let me scan this QR code. Okay, so dash dash tunnel does not seem to work. Is it dash dash then dash dash tunnel? Oh yeah, there needs to be a double dash. So let me scan this again. Opening project, and yep, that works. So this is what you need to do. So for folks who cannot be on the same network, this is what you need to do. You need to first run npm install dash -g-ng-rock. Don't, I'm not sure now that if you need to do a global install, and then you need to do a dash dash and then dash dash tunnel. So two commands here. The first one is npm install dash -g-ng-rock or ngrok, which globally installs this library. The second command is uh, to run expo, but with that global thing, okay, which is npm start. Npm start actually calls this particular script, okay, the start script, which internally runs expo start, but it also provides the extra dash dash and then dash dash tunnel, okay. So that tunnel creates this random url, okay. So if you remember, the previous url was more like an ip address, so this is your local ip address, but this gives you this random url which you can share with anyone in the world actually, okay. So if you open this right now, you can actually see what I am seeing, okay. If I keep this on screen, you can actually have access to my code, okay. And I can quickly demonstrate that by writing here ut's GHW app, okay. So if you all scan this particular QR code, then you actually have access to the code that I am writing on my system working on your mobile. Isn't that cool? So that is what the tunnel does, okay. uh, if anyone wants to try, I'll keep this on the screen for like another 2 seconds. Okay, so there's this question, it says 8081 already in use. You are not using it, but something in your system is using it. So multiple ways to fix it. Number one would be to actually change the port on which this expo runs, okay. Yeah, so you can kind of give it which port you want it to run on by providing this dash dash port equals to some other port number. The other thing would be to actually kill whatever is running on 8081. Okay. So I'm going to share this in the chat, and yeah, to kill it on I would say Windows, you can open the task manager, go into that part where it shows, I think it's called PID. No, I'm not sure what it's called, but if you go through multiple tabs of task manager, you'll find a place where it lists all the PID. So find 8081 there and right click on it and end the task. So that is one way. If you are on Mac slash Linux, or if you have access to command prompt where you can run sudo, so then you can do this to find the ID of the app that is running on port 8081, and then you can kill it with whatever ID that you got from here. Okay, so I'm going to actually stop tunneling because, well, it's going to be problematic. So I'm going to go back on local, and okay, everything works. Now let's start fixing these errors. Uh, okay, so this is more like a cleanup task. So I can actually come back on screen so that it's easy for me to explain. So we are going to go through some cleanup tasks. Uh, and I think this should be a baseline whenever you build a new project. And this is my personal opinion, okay? You don't have to follow it. But in my personal opinion, I feel that you should always have exact versions of libraries installed. That is the first thing. Second thing is setting up ESLint, so your linter and your formatter. In our case, it would be prettier. What do these two do? These two things do. So ESLint or our linter actually tells us any errors in the code that we are writing. Okay, so we don't want to spend too much time, thinking slash searching whether whatever I wrote is correct or not. So the linter takes care of it. Second thing is formatting the code. Everyone has their IDE, in our case VS Code, set up differently, right? So everyone has it set up differently. But if everyone wants to work on the project that I'm building right now, we should all have the same configuration. So we can do that by defining a prettier config, which is a formatting config. And we can tell it that, hey, the formatting should be exactly same for everyone, and this is the configuration that I'm going to use. So anytime you save your application, anytime you format the page, the document, the file, it will go and read this prettier config and it will format your application. No, format the file, sorry. And that ways you don't have to worry about, oh, do I need to add two spaces here or four spaces? Do the brackets needs to go on the same line? Do I need to put a comma here? Should I use a single inverted comma or double inverted comma? All these headaches are gone when you add a formatter. Okay, so that's what we are going to do. We are going to do some cleanup where we are going to first ensure that exact versions of the libraries are installed. Exact versions help in reproducibility. Okay, so something will not randomly fail. So exact versions, adding linter, adding formatter. These are the three things that we are going to do right now. So let's do that. So package JSON, step one, we'll remove all this tilde or tilde. I think tilde. Okay, yes, I am actually going to go away. Don't worry. So in my terminal, actually nothing is running. All I was trying to show is this thing. Okay, that it says that the following packages should be updated. So we'll update these, but at the same time, we'll also ensure that all the versions are exact instead of having this tilde or tilde or caret. Okay, so this raised to symbol kind of. So we'll remove all of that. Okay, so once we have removed that, I think this should be good enough. Yep. Now we are going to delete the package lock JSON and also delete the node modules for the time being. Secondly, let's follow the advice and actually update the Expo 51.0.38/38 to 51.0.39. So even though it said 28 here, if you remember, it had this tilde symbol. So it internally installed 38. And that is why I don't like it. Whatever it says here should be the thing that it has installed. So 51.0.39, TypeScript needs to be 5.3.3. Okay. Even though it said 5.1.3 here, it actually internally installed 5.6.3, but the expected version is 5.3.3. See, again, so much problems. And what else? Now, because I prepared for this session, so I kind of know that some other things that could be updated would be Babel. It can go to 7.25.8. The types React, that could go to 18.2.79. TypeScript is fine. Expo is fine. Expo status bar is fine. React is fine. And React Native is also fine. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I think that should be it. Okay. So since we deleted node modules, it says that it cannot find this module or its corresponding declarations. So I'm going to stop my server. I'm going to clear this terminal. On Windows, you might need to do CLS instead of writing clear. And then I'm going to do npm install. Okay, just npm install, nothing else. Hello. Don't worry, the video will be on YouTube. You can follow along from this point onwards. Okay, perfect. So it has installed everything again. Okay. And if you still see this error, you might need to restart your ESLint server or actually kind of reload the developer window. Okay. So I'll keep this on screen for one more minute. So these are the things that we updated. We updated Expo. We updated these three. Okay. And the versions are on your screen. Okay. So now that is done, let's add our linter and formatter. So to do that, I'm going to clear the screen once again and to add our linter and formatter. Now, if you have noticed right till now, I actually, instead of using npm install to do certain things, I first do npx expo install. Okay. And why is that? So this expo install is very, very interesting. Why? Because it tells you whatever, like it actually kind of keeps a check, like whatever version is going to be installed, is it compatible with this version of Expo? Okay. So it checks the library, whatever you're going to install, to see if it is compatible with this version of Expo, and installs only compatible libraries. So it takes away this headache of, is this compatible or not? uh, but not all libraries are in Expo's list, so you might have to kind of check it sometimes. But example, we'll install ESLint right now. The latest ESLint version actually is 9 point something, 9.14.0. Okay, that is the latest version of ESLint. But when I run this npx expo, not even install, npx expo lint command, okay, and hit enter, it will say no ESLint config found. Install and configure ESLint for this project. I'm going to say yes. And then it will actually install ESLint 8.57, 8.57. Okay. Why? Because that is compatible with this version of Expo. So we could have actually, let me try that. Think it should be able to install the compatible versions when we do npx expo install as well. But okay, going back, caret, remove, tilde, remove. Okay, perfect. So now we have installed ESLint. So we can actually do one thing very quickly, which would be to run the lint command. And if you see your package JSON, there's already this lint command. So we can run this by doing npm run lint, or we can again do npx expo lint, and that internally runs ESLint, okay, ESLint dot, but with npx. So it kind of reaches the same place. And what has it changed? Uh, Unfortunately, nothing. Okay, nothing as such. But it has checked our code to find any errors. We also should add some more configuration to this ESLint rc.js, which was auto magically created, and we'll add that. We'll add that in a second. But this is our linter. Okay, so linter is, and there's a very nice description on Prettier's website, like what is the difference between a linter and formatter. So this is on Prettier's website, that linters have two categories of rules. That is, one is formatting rules and one is code quality. Prettier does not help with code quality, but it helps with formatting, and it is like really good at formatting. And it's very easy to implement, and that is why people prefer to use Prettier. And in the recent versions of ESLint, previously ESLint used to do this formatting, but in the recent versions, they have removed all the formatting rules. They are like, well, there is Prettier, you can use Prettier. Okay, why should we do everything? Okay, anyways, so now moving on to the next step. Also, I should give you the command, right? So this is the command that I ran to install ESLint and also generate that config. Okay, automatically creating this config. And now let's do the next bits, which is to install the prettier configs. So npx expo install dash 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 save dash dev, and this basically means that it's going to install it inside this dev dependencies. ESLint is also here, okay, inside this dev dependencies. We need to install Prettier. We need to install ESLint dash config dash prettier. We also need to add ESLint dash plugin dash prettier, and we also need to add one more. Wait, let me check my notes again. ESLint dash plugin dash react dash native. Okay, so we are going to install these many libraries, and I will share that in the chat. ESLint dash plugin dash react dash native. Okay, this is a very big command, so copy paste it with precision or write it. Okay, that's the best way to learn. So different libraries doing different things, because the problem with ESLint 8.57 is also that it used to do formatting. So we need to tell it to not format, and we need to ask Prettier to do the formatting. So you need to add some configuration there. So I'm going to hit enter and hope for the best. So it installs everything. So I do this and it uses internally npm because it recognizes my uh like what my package manager. Okay, and then it uses that to actually install. So I could have actually run this thing, but the best part is that it installs compatible versions. So it installed this for config prettier, this for plugin prettier, and this is the React Native one and the prettier. Okay, so I am going to actually remove all the caret again and just do npm install. Okay, okay. So we have prettier installed and we have a bunch of other libraries installed. Now let's go into this eslint rc.js. Okay, and let's add some configuration. Now the configuration that I would prefer personally is this. So this extends, instead of doing just an expo, we'll create an array here. Inside this array, we will say that do the plugin colon add typescript dash eslint slash recommended. Okay, then we'll tell it to use plugin colon react slash recommended. So these are part of all the libraries that we installed. Then you do again plugin colon react dash native slash all. Now we add expo after react native. After that we do plugin colon react slash jsx slash runtime, and then finally we add prettier. Okay, so these are all the extensions. Then in our plugins, we'll create a plugins array. Inside this, we'll have prettier and we'll have React Native. Okay, and some rules that we should define. So the rules would be an object, and the rules are that prettier slash prettier should error. Okay, what this means is that anytime the format does not match what you actually, sorry, to answer this question, I think that is because you only have like a single dash before the save. Probably that's why. Oh, you are using double dash. uh if save dev is not working, then you could actually do dash d. So you could do npx expo install all of this, and then you could just do a dash d dash capital D, and that should do exactly the same thing. Okay, so this is another option. Try it and let me know if this works out. And if for the save dev, you have to have a double dash and then space double dash save dash dev. Okay, so they're like double dashes twice. Okay, anyways, going back, so rules prettier. Oh, even dash d is not working. Then what you could do finally is just copy all this in the dev dependencies as said here, that you could kind of write this whole thing in your dev dependencies. I can share mine. Problem, it's not formatted properly and it kind of breaks on YouTube. So add exactly these versions and then just do a npm install. Okay. Okay. Okay, prettier/prettier should error. Thank you so much. But I think it should be fine, right? ESLint was automatically installed. Only these 1, 2, 3, 4 things are what you need to kind of install. Okay, so it should be easy. Okay, rules. Sorry, I keep going off track. So rules, prettier should give error, and we can define a React native rule saying that if you are not using some style, so no unused styles. Okay, so if you create a style, a CSS style, and you're not using it, it should give an error. Uh, you can also add the React dash native slash no inline styles. This should also give an error. Okay, so anytime you are writing styles inline, which I will tell you what it is, I'll try and show you, it should give an error. So that's our ESLint rc.js. Let's also create our prettier rc. So I will keep the ESLint right here and take the prettier on the left hand side. Okay, so inside our prettier rc, some configurations, explicitly defining them. So first is semicolon, that should be true. Okay, so this will print out semicolon at end of every line. Then single quote, I definitely don't like that, so false. Okay, I like double quotes. Trailing comma is going to be all. That always add a trailing comma if you can and if you have to, wherever you have to. Then the print width. So now since I have a bigger screen, I'm going to keep this on 100. The default is 80, but I think it's good to have like more things in a single row. Then tab width, I'm going to keep that as 2. Use tabs, false. Do not use tabs. Use spacebar for spacing. Bracket spacing, going to be true. And arrow parents, which is should it always add this parenthesis before arrow functions? Always. Okay, so this is the configuration that I prefer. Some of these are actually defaults. After pasting this, so there's a question. Yes, you only need to do npm install. Make sure that you paste it inside dev dependencies. Okay. Okay, so this is the prettier RC config that I kind of like. As I said, some of these are actually defaults, except for I think the print width. Okay, the default is 80, but I like it to be 100. Everything else is kind of default, but I still like to explicitly define it. Okay. Now that we have done all of that, let's see if it works. So there is app.tsx. It has single inverted comma. And now I am going to do npx expo lint and hit enter. It does npx ESLint and then it gives me a bunch of these errors. Okay, it says you could make like this single quote you have to replace with double quotes. Replace the single quote with double quotes. So let's also, now you can also run npm run lint, because we have this lint command in our scripts. So if you run that, uh, gives you the same errors. But now I can actually write a lint fix command. And that lint fix command is going to be run ESLint on the root directory, but with the fix, okay, dash dash fix. So fix all the errors that you can fix. So let's take this command and go back, clear this out. npm run lint colon fix. Hit enter, and our errors have reduced by a lot. The double quotes are here. And where are the errors? Line 7 in app.tsx. App.tsx line 7, it says this apostrophe could be replaced with and a pause. And secondly, it says that background color, don't use this color literal. Okay, define the background color properly. So we'll see what that means. Also, actually, in ESLint RCJS, we can kind of. Oh yeah, once you reload it, we can, and you have a plugin installed. It's called Error Lens. Install this plugin in your VS Code. Not plugin, extension, I think. Error Lens extension. If you install this, then you can actually see the errors in line. Okay. And I also get this quick fix where it says disable this error. Okay. So we don't want to do that. But for the time being, hopefully everyone has reached till this point. Okay. We added this lint fix command, which let me share in the chat. Okay. So lint fix command, and it kind of formatted everything that it could find and format. Okay. But we should also tell it to ignore certain files, right? Like not everything needs to be formatted, frankly. So let's create a .eslint ignore file. And what do we want to ignore? Let's define that explicitly as well. So we want it to ignore node modules folder. Okay, we want it to ignore iOS folder that will get generated later, Android folder, the .expo folder that you can see actually exists right here. It should also ignore .vs code folder. Sometimes it gets created on VS Code. Also ignore the, no, actually, I think this is fine. So let's copy this, and we can also create a prettier ignore. So so it starts with a dot. Okay, so prettier ignore, paste exactly this. So these are the files and folders that I wanted to ignore. So do not fix anything in these files and folders. Oh, or any files that are inside this folder. Okay, and I think I've taken too much time right now. So let me clear this, and let's fix that one error. Okay, this one error that you should not use color literals directly. So what are we going to do? Let me create a new file called as theme.ts. Now inside this, I'm going to say export const theme, and that is going to be an object. Now inside this object, you can define multiple things. In my case, I'm going to define a key called as colors, and the value will actually again be an object. And inside that, I'm going to define the white color as hashtag FFFFFF. Okay. And then see, it gives me these many errors. I can do format document, and that should automatically format it. If it is not formatting it for you, you need to install prettier extension in VS Code. Okay, there's these extensions that you need to go in and install. So please install this extension as well. Then you can right click on something and do a format document. Perfect. So I think Okay, so now to fix that, so we created this theme.ts where we are doing this export const theme. I'll keep this open on the left hand side, and let me open the app.jsx on the right hand side. Wrong file. Oops. Yeah. Okay. So now we need to first import this theme, right? So I'm going to do import, and I'm going to do theme from dot slash theme file. So there it is. So from theme file, I'm importing this theme, which is this thing. And right here in the background color, I'm going to say theme dot, there it gives me this prompt of colors and dot white. Okay, so that fixes the error. So now if I go back and I do npm run lint fix, I think it should not give me any error, and whatever was fixable is fixed already, and whatever was not fixable, which was this thing, we have fixed it, right? So I think at this point I would like to do a git add git commit, which would be initial commit and setup. Uh-oh. You might not need to do this. I will have to do it because I have two git accounts on this, and I will take this off the screen. Sorry, I don't want you all to send me spam emails because I'll need to add my email address here. Okay, I think that's good for the time being. Uh, Perfect. So I have done a git commit at this point. So now we will start kind of, I would say, fresh. Okay. So now any changes would be visible in yellow. So what's the next thing? So we have actually done so much, we have spent so much time in setting up our stuff, but I wanted you all to go through that so that, when you have to set something up for the first time, the mindset. Now let's start adding some pieces of code. The first thing that we are going to add is very simply some text to show. Okay, so let's do that. uh, okay, what text to write? Well, we can actually do that very simply by just doing so some concepts before we write. If you have done web development before, then you are familiar with this div tag, right? Which is used widely. Anything that you want to put, you put in a div tag. For React Native, that is called view. Okay, anything you want to do, you put it in a view tag. So that is the first thing. So anytime we are using whatever, like if you want to render something, we want to add some text, we want to do some things, we actually render it in a view tag. Okay, so that is the first thing to remember. So okay, so from there, let's go to the next bit, which would be that let us create some text. So we have this view, we have this text. I'm going to change this text to call it MLH. Hmm, MLH, MLH, MLH. Do I call it MLH? Yeah, I think so. Right? Or actually, I think the better would be Global Hack Week. Then below this, I'm going to copy this. Actually, not even copy. Let's write it. I'll add a text again, and I will say I will copy something from the Global Hack Week website. So this first part, okay, I'm going to copy that. I'm going to come here and paste that, and I'll create a third text. Okay, after that, and inside that, I'm going to copy paste this thing, this third thing. So all I've done is added some text. Now here it gives me this warning. It can be escaped with this. So quick fix and replace, and that does the trick. So this is what I have done, and you can copy whatever I copied from the GHW website. There we go. It's in the chat. The link is in the chat. So we have added a title kind of text and some text and some text. Okay. So now if I run this application which with using npx expo start and then open it on my phone, I should be able to see this thing exactly. But for the time being, so that you all can see what I am seeing, I'm going to open it in a simulator. So I'm going to do I to actually open this in a simulator. And I need to open it again. Yeah, there we go. So this is what it currently looks like, and this is what it would currently look like even on your phone. Okay, so let's fix this. Let's make it kind of readable. Okay, kind of properly readable, right? So what are we going to do? Step one is, like, by default everything is colored black, so that should not be a problem. But let's define. So we defined white. We should also define black color, right? And that would be, the dark one would be 00000012345 6. Okay, yeah, 6. And then the text variants. Okay, we can create a new key called a text variants, and inside this we can have multiple things. The first one is called headline. Okay, and we will say that the font size here should be like 32, and this is not 32 pixels. If you're coming from web development again, we talk everything in rem pixels, but in mobile app it is called points. Okay, so 32 points is what this is. The font family, I am going to not add any new font family. I'm going to say use the system font, and I'm going to say that the color of this should be black, and I am also going to say that the font weight should be bold. Okay, now I'm going to create another text variant called as actually no, let's only have headline. So now if I go here, this first text, okay, I'm going to give it a style equals to styles dot, and what is this styles? So this styles comes from this thing on line number 19. Okay, so all the styles that you want to add to your React Native application, your mobile app, are defined in the same file. Okay, and you use the style sheet dot create to actually create, and everything is an object. So we are going to create a new object here. I'm going to call it like headline text. Okay, and inside this I'm going to say font size, and as you can see it actually gives me suggestions. I'm going to say font size 64. Okay, that's it. And I'm going to take this headline text and I'm going to do styles dot headline text. Okay, now if I go to my app, there we go, it has reloaded and it shows this 64. But we created a headline theme, right? We created a text variant of headline. So what we could do instead is that we could say dot 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 theme dot text variants dot headline. Okay, Okay. And what else? I have no idea why is this being weird. Hmm, let me reload the window. Probably that should fix it. Font size, oh, do I have a wrong thing? Is font weight not a correct thing? Oh, I think it's this. Do I need to define that as properly? Nope. Yeah, that's gone. Okay, so it's not called font weight. So what is it called? Font weight, yeah. And that should be bold. Interesting. So if I take this, go back here, add it, remove it from here. Okay, so that doesn't work, but everything else works. Okay, so there's some problem which I will need to look into later, but at least for the time being, there we go. Okay, so Global Hack Week with the headline text, okay, defined and styled. The second problem is this text that we have written below that. So let's add some styles to for that as well. So we can kind of create a body text, or let's call it simple text, or actually body text. Yeah, body text. And that would be, uh, what do we want? We want the font size to be just 16 points. Then what else do we want? We want the font family to be system, like whatever system this is running on. The color to be black again, but instead of, like, if I type in black and I it says that there are two errors here. Number one, we are not using this style. So let's use this. So I'll copy this, go over to my text, and I will say style equals to styles dot body text. So that solves the first error. The second one is expected class name to be in ascending order. Okay, so of course B comes before C and H. So I'm going to hover over it, quick fix, and fix this. And then finally, not even finally, there are few other errors. Color literal cannot use this black. So I need to do something like the theme dot colors dot black. And then another one is it needs to be ascending order inside. So let's fix that. And there we go. Finally, no more warnings from ESLint. Okay, no more errors. And you might think that, wait, this actually creates more problems. Like, why do I have to do it in this way? But in the long run, it would be helpful because anyone who comes and checks your code, they will be able to easily go through it. Also, if someone decides that white should not be FFF, it should be like F1, 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 uh, it will automatically get changed everywhere else. So you don't have to go and search for it again, like, at every place and replace it one by one. So if I do that, okay, there we go. The second one looks better. The third one, we need to add some spacing. We need to use this same style and pass it to this text. Okay, so there we go. That's the second text. What else? Well, we want the body text to be in the width of like 80%. Okay, should not take more than 80% of the screen size. So that kind of squishes it in. Then between the text, we want some margin. So I'm going to say margin bottom. I need that to be 10 points. Okay, and it says this needs to be in order, so margin bottom goes above. So there we go. Actually, I want margin top and bottom. So you can do actually margin vertical. Okay. 10 on top and bottom. So there we go. There's some spacing here, some spacing below this, some spacing on top, and there's this. And what else? So the text actually looks weird. So we can kind of justify, right? So we can do text align, uh, justify, and then move this here. And that makes it more justified. Okay. You can always do text align. The options are auto, center, left, right. So let's say if I do center, things should be center aligned. So whatever fee, if whatever you like. I'm going to go with justify for the time being. And yeah, that's it. So we have successfully actually added some text. And I know it does not look like a lot, but it takes too much time to reach the stage, right? So any questions, anyone? Doesn't seem like it. I've not seen anything in the chat. So it seems like everyone is following along very nicely and everyone has reached where I wanted them to reach. Okay, perfect. So let's move on. What's next? You cannot have any mobile app without a button, right? So let's add a button. Now, a button in web is always easy. A button in web is always simple, but a button in React Native is kind of tricky. Okay. Now, if you want to use a button in in React Native, you have two options. You have something called as touchable opacity. Okay. So it gives you this button and it also gives, like, if I keep holding it, it also adds this opacity to it. Okay. So it gives you that feeling of, oh, someone has clicked on me. So there is touchable opacity. I will share the link in the chat. And then it also says if you're looking for something more extensive and future proof, then you should use pressable. This is again another type of, let's say, a button. Okay. So you don't have a button, but like you have a button, but instead of using button, which is not really as good, you should use something called as pressable or touchable opacity. Okay. Because that gives you more of a feeling that you're clicking on something. Okay. Because it changes its opacity and then gains it back. It gives you that good feeling of, oh, something has been clicked, something changed. So let's use that. And it is going to be downloaded actually from React Native instead of Expo. So that's good. So I'm going to say touchable opacity and I'm going to import it from React Native. Close that out. Inside this, what do we want? Well, we simply want to add some text, right? What would be the text? So I am going to add the text of sign up. So touchable opacity and sign up. I go here and I don't see anything. Where is that color? Well, we need to define it, right? So let's do that. So I'm going to say style equals to styles object that we have down here dot sign up button. Okay. Now this sign up button property sign up button does not exist on this. So because we need to create it. Hopefully the spelling is correct. Yeah. So I can create it right here. So let's add some stuff, some styles. I want the text color to be theme dot colors dot white, I want the background color. We need to define a background color. So let's create a primary and secondary color. And if you were a part of the open source week, you remember that we created this very own open source website, and I'm going to use this to create a color. So my primary color, I want it to be blue, or at least a shade of blue, lighter. So this is my going to be my primary color. Let me add that as primary. Actually, I want it to be darker a bit. Yes, this looks better. So primary, and the color that I'm going to go with is this one. Okay, I'll keep this out here for anyone to copy it very quickly. Or if you want to play around, feel free to do so with this website. And wait, yeah, the background color. So let's define the background color, and that needs to be theme dot colors dot primary. Okay, that's going to my background color, and B comes before the C, so that's where it goes. And what next? We need to define what we should define. Okay, let's see first. How does it look like? Okay, very bad. So we need so this does cannot have color. Okay, background color is defined. We need to add some padding. Okay, so padding of 16. I think that should be good. Now if we go back, yeah, that looks much better. We should make it rounded, right? We should add some border radius. So border radius of 6. I think that should be good enough. And yeah, that makes it look more like a button. The text inside, we need to add style to this. So I will add a style equals to styles dot sign up button text. Okay, we'll call it sign up button text. And let's create that right here, where the color would actually be theme dot colors dot white. And there we go. So that's a sign up button. And if I try to press over it, you see that it changes the opacity. It gives you that feeling that you're clicking on something. Okay, so that is nice, but on click it's not doing anything. So let's fix that. uh, how can we fix that? So on touchable opacity, you have something called as on press. Okay, on press available, which basically says that on press, what do you want me to do? Okay, very simply it says, what do you want me to do on press? So we will say that on press, call the function handle sign up. Now this function is missing, so let's create it. So inside this app, I'm going to say const handle sign up equals to, okay, what should it do on clicking sign up? Step one, let's first console log something to actually see that it works. Okay, that's the easiest way to test something. So I'm going to say that on handle sign up, you just do a console dot log signed up, and const handle sign up equals to, it needs to be a function. So I'm going to do this, and that's it. So now if I go back, I click on sign up, it says signed up right here. Sorry about that. Uh, bad call. But yeah, I click on sign up and it does this logging right on the left, right? On the left of my terminal, you can see that whenever I click on sign up, it console logs it. So this is nice. So handle sign up kind of works. The function is called, but now inside it, we actually don't want this. We want to actually show an alert to the user. So I'm going to use this alert from React Native and do a alert dot alert, and inside this, it will take in two things. It takes a title and it takes a string. It can also take buttons and stuff. So I'm going to say sign up to GHW. You are signed up. Okay. So we are using this alert dot alert. Alert comes from React Native. It's imported from there. And now what happens? If I click on this, it gives us this very nice model of you are sign up to GHW. You are signed up. Okay. So every time you click on this button, it kind of says you are signed up. Okay, and that's all it does. It all only says that you are signed up. But we can make this better. Okay, what can we make better here? So I'm going to comment this for the time being, and I'm going to say alert dot alert, and I said that it takes in a title and stuff, right? So the first title I'm going to say register for GHW, and then I'm going to say that I'll ask a question. Are you interested to participate in MLH? Oopsie daisy. My monitor switched off. Interesting. I think even my monitor is saying you're done for the day. Actually, I only have 5 minutes left. So I'll quickly do this. So are you interested to participate in MLHGHW? And we'll ask this question, and then we will have an array of buttons. Okay. So we can have two types of buttons. The first button, it will have a text. I'll call it no. And its style would be something called as a destructive style. And the second object would have a text of yes, very excited, and its style would be a default. Okay, so now if I go back and I click on sign up, it gives me this modal with two pop-ups, with two buttons actually, no and yes. No is automatically red because it's a destructive action, so red, and this is default, so it is blue, and I say yes. What's the other option? So there is also a cancel as something, and it looks exactly the same. So that's why I go with default. And that's it, right? So that's how you can actually also show the users two buttons. Okay. Now, interestingly, what if on clicking yes, you want them to open another website? So let's do that. So on clicking yes, on clicking no, we don't want it to do anything, but on clicking yes, it should open another website. So we can use something called as linking from React Native dot open URL, and then pass it some URL. Okay. Now the URL will be, I'll go over to this, go over here, and actually pass this link, take this link and pass that right here. Okay. So now let's go back to our app. You can always refresh your app by going to your terminal and clicking R. Okay, the letter R, pressing R, and that should refresh your app. And you click on sign up, register for GHW. Are you interested to participate in MLH GHW? No, nothing happens. You can always console log something. and you say yes, and then it actually opens whatever is the default browser set, and there we go, it actually opens the website. Isn't that cool? Okay, so we have added a button and we have added interaction, and in this one actually I can quickly say that on press, uh, it's a function call, and we will say then just do a console dot error not signed up, and then a sad face. Okay, so I click on sign up, no, error not signed up, sad face, actually log. I think that's fine. Yeah, not signed up. And there we go. We have successfully created a button as well. We have added some styles. We have, yeah, we have opened a modal, and we can actually link to another website. Isn't that cool? I think that's a very good starting point where we have reached. Now, let me come back on screen. And yep, hello, folks. I'm back. Hopefully, you all enjoyed this. Like, this comes to the end of my session, my time. Any questions before I end this? I'll have I have two more sessions tomorrow, or like you can find all the details on the Global Hack Week, Career Week, and you can go into schedule and you can see that. Okay. There's a very interesting question. Nice. Am I sharing the source code? Not today. I will share it on the fourth day because we will have so many changes, kind of. So you'll find everything that we did, which was pretty much very, very less in the video, which is available on YouTube. I want to make a lot of changes, add a lot of comments before I share the source code. Okay, this is not proper. Okay, that's my problem. It's not exactly proper. And I'll slowly scroll down. So if you want to view the code, you can go on the last page, like last few minutes, and you can pause it in between. Okay, and you'll have access to all the code. So there's this change that we did, and then there was this change that we did. Yeah, and then there was package JSON that we changed. Okay, yeah, I can push it. That's not the problem. I am just basically like, this is not perfect. Okay, so I either like I make some more changes to this, or at least finish the first part, and maybe then I'll push it. So tomorrow for sure. Okay. Uh, yeah. Anyways, uh, can you send the link that I showed? Which what would it be? This schedule one? Okay. And I think that's it actually from me. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining, and enjoy the time off in between because you have a 1 hour break, kind of, and then you can join back and join the Wikipedia Races mini event with Aziman. Okay. And I remember my Wikipedia Races event, I was beaten by like I think 3 people in 2 rounds. Okay. Like everyone was so much better than I am. So if you enjoy Wikipedia races, definitely join. You will definitely enjoy this. If you have never played it, definitely join. Okay. So yeah, with that, it comes to an end for my session. Thank you so much, everyone, for patiently listening to my rambling. And I will see you again tomorrow with my 2 sessions back to back where we'll complete some more parts of this app that we have started. We'll add a image, we'll add a show a image here. We'll add a card component which will be something like this, but it would be of course vertically aligned, right? Okay, so vertical, vertical, vertical. And you will find some errors that I will tell you about tomorrow, and we'll also fix those errors. And once done, we'll end this project, and we'll start a new one of creating reminders. Okay, a reminders application. But yeah, that's it from me. Thank you so much, everyone, and I am glad that you all enjoyed it. Okay, so cheers, everyone. See you later. Bye bye.